Very good afternoon. You're watching Rajya Sabha News with me, Aishwarya. Let us start with the headlines. Rajya Sabha adjourned sine die. In his concluding remarks, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu says, though session has been satisfactory in terms of productivity, there were some areas of concern. Appeals to all members to ensure that unseemly behavior is not repeated. Parliament approves the Jammu and Kashmir Official Language Bill 2020. Rajya Sabha also passes the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2020 and the Bilateral Netting of Qualified Financial Contracts Bill 2020. Appropriation Bill returned to Lok Sabha after consideration. Farewell given to the Rajya Sabha MPs who will complete their tenure in November. Chairman appreciates their contributions. Reports of the Estimates Committee and Committee on Government Assurances presented. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu today adjourned the Rajya Sabha sine die. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu today adjourned the Rajya Sabha sine die. In his valedictory address, he recounted the events that have transpired in the monsoon session. He also explained what is expected of the members from the Treasury benches as well as the opposition to facilitate the smooth functioning of the House. This is what Chairman Naidu said. Let's take a listen.
Honorable Prime Minister, respected Minister for Parliament Affairs, Prahlad Joshi ji, and also Sri Muralidharan ji and other leaders of various parties and groups in the House and honorable members. We are concluding the 252 session of the Rajya Sabha today. This session has been marked by several novel features induced by the outbreak of a coronavirus at the beginning of this year. We have to conclude this session 8 sittings ahead of the 18th sittings as the COVID pandemic continues to challenge the humankind across the globe even after 9 months of its outbreak. Originally we planned 18 sittings. We have completed 10 sittings. We are living in extraordinary times, warranting several adjustments requiring us to live a new normal life. We have had 10 sittings during this session, during when this August House had to function from 6 different locations, including the chambers of both the houses of Parliament and 4 galleries of this House, the first of its kind in the history of Rajya Sabha. In another first, we have functioned on Saturday and Sunday of the last week without taking the usual break. As we were thinking of this readjustment, I was not sure as to how the honorable members would cope up with these changes. I am very pleased that all of you have adopted very well. I have had to familiarize myself with this new situation by having 2 mock sessions and several rounds of discussions with officials. I wholeheartedly compliment all of you for making this success of this novel experiment. Honorable members, let me give a brief account of this session. During the 10 sittings, total of 25 bills have been passed and 6 bills have been introduced. The productivity of the House during this session has been 100.47% as against the scheduled available time of 38 hours and 30 minutes. The actual functional time of the House has been 38 hours and 41 minutes. While 3 hours and 15 minutes time of the House has been lost unfortunately due to disruptions, the House sat for an extra time of 3 hours and 26 minutes.
And the Upper House on Wednesday earlier passed the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2020. This bill was passed by Lok Sabha on 21st of September. Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai said that the act is being changed to ensure that the foreign money coming into India is not used against national interests. He also assured the House that the legislation will not also stop foreign contributions in any way.
सरकार को सुविधा यह होगी कि यह पैसे का ट्रेस, उसकी ट्रैकिंग और उसका उपयोग, उसका मॉनिटरिंग, उसका इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था के लिए यह एक व्यवस्था लाई गई है ताकि पारदर्शिता बनी रहे। यह निश्चित रूप से पारदर्शिता लाने वाला यह बिल न एनजीओ के खिलाफ है या न किसी के अहित में है। यह जरूर है कि ऐसी संस्था को जरूर थोड़ा बुरा लगेगा जो पारदर्शिता को नहीं चाहते हैं, लेकिन ऐसे एनजीओ जो पारदर्शिता के साथ जिस उद्देश्य से विदेशी अविदाय प्राप्त करते हैं, ऐसे सेवा भाव से जनहित में काम करने वाले ऐसी सारी संस्थाओं को यह सहयोग करने के लिए यह संशोधन है।
The bill adds that any person seeking prior permission, registration or renewal of registration must provide the Aadhaar number of all its office bearers, directors or key functionaries, as well as an identification document. Foreigners must provide copies of the passport or the Overseas Citizen of India card for identification. The bill also amends the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010 to state that foreign contribution must be received only in an account designated by the bank as FCRA account. No funds other than the foreign contribution should be received or deposited in this account. The bill adds that the government may also restrict the usage of unutilized foreign contribution for persons who have been granted prior permission to receive such contribution. This may be done if based on a summary inquiry, and pending any further inquiry, the government believes that such person has contravened provisions of the Act. All right, Kriti Mishra, colleague, is now joining us on the phone line from Parliament. Kriti, so Rajya Sabha adjourned sine die and the session concluded 8 sittings ahead of the 18 planned sittings as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. But, you know, high productivity of the previous session was also seen continuing this time, and Chairman Naidu in his concluding remarks saying that in the 10 sittings, 25 bills were passed, 6 bills were introduced, and he also said that though the session has been very satisfactory in terms of productivity, but he also raised concerns saying that there were some areas of concern, and he appealed to the members to ensure that such behavior, unseemly behavior, is not repeated.
Well, absolutely, Aishwarya. This is one of the shortest sessions, monsoon sessions of Rajya Sabha. And of course, the productivity was very high, more than 100%, as you've mentioned. More than around 25 bills were passed by the upper house. Chairman also said that this is satisfactory, but of course, he expressed anguish over the unruly scenes that were witnessed in the house. He appealed to all the members to maintain the decorum, to follow the customs, the etiquettes, and the procedures and the rules of the house. He also said that it was unprecedented to see such behavior in the house. He also expressed his anguish. But overall, the session was extremely productive. We saw on several occasions that all the 0R missions were taken up, all the special mentions were taken up, and thereafter, all the important bills were taken up after elaborate discussion, and members cutting across party lines participated in those discussions. Even talking about the day's agenda, today also we saw that important bills were passed, including the FCRA bill and also important labour codes. So certainly a very productive session, which is going to be the 252nd session of the Rajya Sabha. Aishwarya?
Yeah, Kriti, stay with us. We'll just come back to you because we also need to discuss the bills that have been passed today in length. So Rajya Sabha passed 3 key bills related to labour, passed by the Lok Sabha on Tuesday. The Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, the Industrial Relations Code 2020, and the Code on Social Security 2020 were passed by a voice vote. These codes would provide salary security, social security and proper environment at workplaces to 50 crore workers of our country. Over 29 labour laws are merged into these codes to work out a balance between welfare of the workers and ease of doing business for the industry.
किसी भी श्रमिक की ये नौकरी यदि छूट जाती है तो दोबारा उसके रोजगार की संभावना बढ़ाने के उद्देश्य से आईआर कोड में पहली बार री स्किलिंग फंड का प्रावधान किया गया है। इन श्रमिकों को इसके लिए 15 दिन का वेतन दिया जाएगा। सभापति महोदय, कोविड-19 के परिदृश्य में प्रवासी श्रमिकों के अधिकारों को सुदृढ़ करने के लिए विशेष प्रावधान किए गए हैं। प्रवासी श्रमिकों की परिभाषा को व्यापक बनाया गया है। अब सभी मजदूर जो एक राज्य से दूसरे राज्य में आते हैं उनका वेतन 18,000 रुपये से कम है तो वे प्रवासी श्रमिक की परिभाषा के दायरे में आएंगे और उन्हें सरकार की कल्याणकारी योजनाओं का लाभ मिल पाएगा।
हर मजदूर को नियुक्ति पत्र मिलेगा। अब वो अनौरस नहीं रहेगा, उसको नियुक्ति पत्र मिलेगा। 2-3 नई बातें हैं। हर साल हर मजदूर का मुफ्त चेकअप किया जाएगा। ये मुफ्त चेकअप ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हेल्थ का कदम है। सबसे एक क्रांतिकारी कदम है जिस पर ध्यान नहीं गया लोगों का। नौकरी छूटने पर जो ESIS और जो EPFO का सदस्य है उसकी नौकरी जाने पर 3 महीने के लिए उसको आधा तनख्वाह मिलेगा। ये पहली दफा देश में ये बदलाव आया है। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बदलाव है।
And the upper house also passed the bilateral netting of qualified financial contracts bill 2020 on Wednesday. The Lok Sabha had passed this bill on 20th of September. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the proposed legislation will ensure financial stability and promote competitiveness in the Indian financial markets by providing enforceability of bilateral netting of qualified financial contracts.
Legislation will help us in evaluating risks far more in real-time basis, and actual risk assessment happens rather than a notional risk assessment based on the gross figures. It is the net which is important, otherwise the real value of money is locked up. So with this, just one bullet which I'm telling you, commodity derivatives such as electricity derivatives, oil derivatives, coal derivatives or gas derivatives, you can immediately imagine what are the kind of transactions which are going to get covered because of this legislation that this House is choosing to consider today. This bill, if passed, will have a very big bearing on the financial stability of India, and we'll have a buoyant bond market, as a result of which businesses will have greater affordable resources.
The bill seeks to further develop the financial market in India and provide an unambiguous legal framework for enforceability of netting of a qualified financial contract. This bill is significant as India doesn't have a legal framework for bilateral netting. And the upper house also passed the Jammu and Kashmir Official Languages Bill 2020, under which Kashmiri, Dogri and Hindi, apart from the existing Urdu and English, will be the official languages in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And that is it in this edition of Rajya Sabha News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV. Up ahead is Rajya Sabha Samachar. Thanks for watching.